Oh, yeah. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 39 of the Sailor Jerry podcast. My name is Matt Cothran. I am still your host, and today is Thursday, June 30th, 2022. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you should have known by now that Sailor Jerry spiced rum is still made the old school way, 92 proof, bold and smooth as hell. Now, if you are watching on the YouTube right now, I apologize for the gray on gray action. It was something that was purely coincidental, but I am in Tallahassee, Florida on a day off today. And let's just say the hotel is a little bit stunted visually. Okay. It's a little bit lackluster in the color department. And, sometimes that's just the way it goes. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still very, very happy to be here. Very, very happy to be out on the road. The Bronx tour with Frank Turner and the Sleeping Souls has been insane. Since I last talked to you guys, we've been going nonstop. We ran through Portland, Maine, Vermont, Connecticut. Boston was such an insane show. Absolutely killer. Philly, another awesome show. Richmond, Virginia, such a cool city. Great place. A lot of good friends there. The New York show was buck wild, of course. Last night in Orlando, Florida, was probably the best show of the tour so far. So it's been a really, really cool run. A lot more shows to go. So if you're interested in checking out a gig, you can go to thebronx.com with 3 X's, or you can Google Frank Turner and the Sleeping Souls and grab a ticket there. We're on the road till July 30th. So come on out, have a good time. The shows have been insane. The vibe has been unbelievable. The pit and the dance floor is active, and we're having a blast. So shout out to everybody that's come to a show so far. What's up to all the podcast listeners out there? Good to talk to you guys, and thanks for tuning in yet again. I really do love doing this, so I'm super, super stoked. I know the world is a little bit overwhelming, and there's a lot of crazy shit going on the daily, especially here in the States as of late. But there's still a lot of love in the world, and you can just never, ever, ever lose sight of that. That doesn't mean you turn a blind eye. That doesn't mean that you don't get involved. That doesn't mean that you don't fight for what you believe in. But it just means that you got to remember that there still is an anchor of hope and light and happiness in the world. And I'm sending all my love out to you out there in the universe. And I hope everybody's doing good. And man, oh man, am I excited about the interview that we got coming up. So without further ado, it's time for episode 39. Matty Matheson is on a roll. In this epic episode, we catch up with a much-loved culinary crusader for a massive rundown of everything on his plate. From acting and consulting in the brand new FX series, The Bear, to opening the incredible Prime Seafood Palace restaurant in the heart of Toronto, Canada. We also discuss the importance of forward momentum, taking risks, and surrounding yourself with the right people. And of course, we dive into music, punk rock, hardcore, slam dancing, horrible tattoos, Matty's secret hardcore record, and so much more. This is an awesome episode, and it's one that I've been looking forward to ever since we started the podcast. So kick back, relax, pour yourself some Sailor Jerry, and let's go.
I like food, food tastes good. I like food, food tastes good. Juicy burger, juicy fight. Too late, I drop this time. Teenage girl, what type of two? Got my way or I'll eat too. I like food, food tastes good. I like food, food tastes good. Good since I'm back at eating. I like food, food tastes good. I like food, food tastes good.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yo, what up, man?
What up?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, dude. Where the hell are you right now?
I'm in a van.
Oh, you're in like, oh, that's one. Okay. Where are you at? Are you in Huntington Beach? Is the rumor true?
I'm in HB, baby.
Oh, dude, that's so brutal. I can't believe you're in Huntington where I live and I'm fucking stuck in Boston right now. Look at this fucking shitty hotel room.
It's horrible. What do you live in Huntington?
Yeah. I live there. I grew up in East LA, but I've been living in Huntington for like 20 years, dude.
Oh my God. Huntington's like the best, worst place in the world. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's a place that is very polarizing, as they like to say. You know, it's pretty conservative and pretty shitty in a lot of ways, but it's also, you know, there's a lot of great people there too, you know, and the beach is beautiful. So I love it, man.
Yeah, I've really grown to love. I never thought that I'd, come to Orange County and find some amazing people, but coming down here for the last couple of years, it's been amazing, the people that have come into my life.
Bro, I get that because, dude, like growing up in LA, dude, Orange County was like, if you move, especially if you moved to Orange County, it was like, dude,
what are you doing?
You're done. You're done.
Yeah, it's a wash. You're a fucking loser.
Yeah, but you know, it's all right. You know, it's like I found a little nook there for myself that really made sense for my life with, you know, touring, and kind of the LA madness was too crazy for me. So I got down to the beach and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, it's like a place that I like to come, and I just like, I come down here and I got friends that like build motorcycles, and it's just a place that I can come down here and kind of actually disappear and have like a good friend group down here, and like all my dudes from like Ruka are down here and like in Costa Mesa, and like it's just like it's an amazing place for me to. This is like my safe place now. I just come here and like fucking sleep on my friends' couches and like hang back and like can just be like cool,
I fucking love it. You look like you just got out of the water. Is that accurate?
No, I'm just like we're building like a motorcycle, and so it's just hot. So I'm just like I'm taking a break. This is the quietest place. Is in my buddy Scotty's van. I'm just in my friend Scott's van.
Well, we appreciate Scotty's van. This is a monumental day for the Sailor Jerry podcast to have you on as a guest, man. So thank you very much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Dude, we've been trying to do this for a while now, and now we're here, and I apologize for taking so long. It's always so crazy, and it's just I'm fucking stoked to be here finally and be able to chop it up.
Right on, man. Absolutely appreciate you. You're on a bit of a press run right now for your big FX premiere, the show The Bear, which is coming out on FX on June 23rd, and it's also streaming on Hulu. So tell us about the show and how you became a part of it.
Wow. I don't know, like Chris Storer. So Chris Storer is his sister Coco was the chef at John and Vinny's forever, and I'm really good friends with her. And I met Chris through Courtney Coco, and just like kind of randomly, he was just like, "Yo, like, would you want to act on a TV show?" And I was like, "No, I don't know. Acting's stressful, and like I got to remember stuff." And I'm like, my whole career of just like is like one fucking take and kind of just a riff, and acting's kind of stressful. And he's like, "Dude, but what if you like were like the chef consultant and like producer, and you were like the handyman?" And I was like, I don't want to be like a chef or anything. He's like, "No, like we wouldn't even have you be a chef." He's like, "I need you to like produce, tell us what the fuck is like, really going on, help train the chefs or the actors, and just kind of be a part of it." And it, I don't know, it was like a really scary thing to think about and a lot of responsibility. And finally, I was just like, okay. And like we met and we talked, and it was like one of those things where it just kind of happened. And then when I got on there, we like, I'd go visit the writers' rooms, which was led by Joanna. She's a showrunner, director, producer, writer. She's incredible. And so I would go when I was in LA, I'd go to the writer's room a bit, and they would kind of like interview me and ask me a lot of stories and questions, and like, how would this person react to something like this? And like, kind of just try to make it as real as possible. And then when we went to Chicago, it was just like the craziest thing I've ever been a part of. It's like, it was just like, you know, you're up at 5:30 every single day, Monday to Friday. You get home at 6:37 every day. And just working on a set, like seeing how television's made is such a fucking trip. And because I'm like an actor producer, I get to see like the full kind of 360 of it all. Like
Yeah.
I'm working with like the props people, the set people, you know, the wardrobe. I'm working with all the producers constantly, the actors. Like I was so involved in like everything kind of, that it was really an amazing experience. And like, everyone was it's so many people working so hard, to make something happen every day. And, you know, it was just a wild thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I mean, it's cool to hear that, you know, you're kind of like the mob guy that they use to like authenticate mob movies. You know, they like, it's cool. It's cool that they were like going to you to like ask for like, hey, how would this play out? You know, in addition to you being on the show, that's pretty cool. That's like that's like a respect thing. You know, that's pretty awesome that they did that.
Yeah, it's a trip. Like it's one of those things where like, it's also like, you don't want to overstep when you're on set. Like there's so much like different kind of like levels and hierarchy, and like everything's like union, and like you got to like really learn kind of where your place is, and like how, like, you know, you don't really want to like all of a sudden you're like, hey, the way that actor did that, it's kind of fucking kooky. It's like, you know, you really kind of choose your battles and learn how to like work within all of those different means. And like every time somebody says, it's like, you know, like you can't be telling people constantly what they're doing wrong or whatever. Like their nuances are their nuances. And the way that I work and the way that I kind of move around kitchens, and, you know, like the way that they move, that's the thing that I really found is like the way that I think chefs move and the way that everything moves. It's like they became their own people. And I think like that was an amazing thing to see, is like the actors by the end of it were like telling like the prop, be like, hey, like my knife was like this and my spoons are like this. And like, they really kind of took a lot of charge and made it so amazing. And like, they really cared, and like, they would know how to set up their full stations by the end of it. And like, I don't know, it was like, they're really doing it. It was like the cliche, you know, like they, like by the end of it, like they were kind of being chefs, and it was kind of tight. And, I'm really proud of it. And like, yeah, everything, like by the end of it, like all the crew, they're all like, yes, chef. And like, just like, it was like, you know, we're pretty much making fun of all that bullshit, but it's like, it was really something to kind of like, everyone was, a big part of it, you know, and working towards trying to just make it as real as possible. Like the show is like, it's life on life's terms, man. And it's like, it ain't pretty. Like a lot of people come from broken places, and, you know, you still got to show up, and it's a heavy show. Like it is like, you know, it's about a dude taking over his dead brother's restaurant. And it just comes from such an awful place, you know, and just trying to, you know, he couldn't, you know, help his brother. Maybe he can help his restaurant. You know, there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of like, just fucking heavy ass shit constantly. And you're just like, dealing with all of that stuff or not dealing with any of that stuff. And then just like showing up for work and trying to make fucking Italian beef sandwiches. Like it's fucking, it's heavy shit, man.
Yeah, that's dope, man. It's cool that I didn't realize it was going to be, you know, kind of full on like that, which I really enjoy shows like that. I didn't know what the meter was. So that's cool hearing it from you. And then also, it's so rad to hear you talk about it from the idea to the very end, where everyone's, you know, kind of all in it together, because you go into it kind of like, do I really want to do this? You know, I kind of like, don't really know. And then by the end of the whole experience, it just seems like it was just a really like positive, awesome time.
Yeah, it was like I'm over the moon. Once again, it's just, I think it's like, I come from, you know, I think it's just like, it is that growing up going having like those crews of like being like a hardcore kid.
Yeah.
And I think just finding your place is so powerful. And I think like that set and that crew and like cast and crew and everybody was fucking tight. And you know, the synergy was there. And that's the thing is like there's so many like everyone there, like me being a first timer, it was like, you know, I'm some like new jack on set where I don't know the rules. I don't know that people are just like, yo, like you're just like telling the director what to do, or like you're doing this, or like you're doing that. Like you're like, Matty, you're just loose. Like you're just squacking at everybody. And it is one of those things where everybody on set was like, yo, this isn't what it's like, Matty. Like, you know, most people are like in their trailer, they come on set, they do their job, they go home. And everyone was just hanging out. And it's just like, that's the thing is like the vibe were so high. And like, cause we were all like, we could hang out in the dining room because we built the whole restaurant on set.
Yeah.
And so like everyone would just hang out in the dining room when we were shooting in the kitchen. When we were shooting in the dining room, we'd all hang out in the kitchen. And like, we were all just like, nobody hung out at the village. Like nobody hung out at the monitors. Like everybody wanted to be in the cut and everybody wanted to be there. And like, everybody was just like watching each other act and like do it and like run it. And I think it was just like, I don't know, the whole thing was just, it was the pace was like meant to be high. Like we didn't do the directors didn't want to do a lot of takes. They were like, yo, like, we would do like 5 takes max. And it was just like most times they were using in the edits, it's crazy, like they're using like the first takes. And it's just like, because that shit was the raw shit and they wanted to keep that pace, they wanted to keep that reality, they wanted to keep like being like, yo, again, done, fuck you, next scene. Like, did you get it? You better have got it. Like, and it was just like the vibe was that kind of thing, and everybody kind of got. They're like, oh, okay, like let's go, like like there was it was like a real push, you know. It was cool.
That's fucking dope. How was the catering on set? Was it up to par?
Yo, dude, straight up, I was making fun of this. We did a panel in New York, and I was making fun of all the cast. All the fucking actors, they get like, you know, sweet green every day and juices and smoothies and acai bowls or whatever the fuck they want. And I'm just like out there with the cat or the crew eating like the fucking cheese quesadillas or like the fucking cruise shit. Cause I was like, yo, this catering's tight. I was so stoked on, I was like, this shit, I want to eat this shit. Instead, I want to eat like fucking, they're making like, I don't know, fucking barbacoa quesadillas and like making some real ass shit. Like every Friday they were doing like steak frites and stuff. And like, I don't know. It was fire. To be honest, like every morning, like I was getting this like BLT wrap in the morning that was fire. I don't know. I'm down. I like all that shit though. Like I'm like, you know, going to a shitty wedding is like my dream food, you know, like a shitty Caesar salad and like, you know, like I'm down with that shit. Like just like a microwave piece of beef. Like it's just like, I'm with it. I'm like, I don't care. I love that kind of shit.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, shitty wedding food is definitely a vibe. It is definitely a vibe.
It was like kind of warm, kind of cold, like rigatoni. They're like, how is it? They're like, what is that? Is this microwaved? And they didn't like fucking mix it up. It was just like some of it's cold, some of it's hot.
I think about that scene in Step Brothers when he's like, I didn't want the salmon.
Yeah, no, I did not order the salmon.
That's perfect segue into seafood here, because you just opened a game changer of a restaurant that I personally can't wait to visit in the heart of Toronto called Prime Seafood Palace. You have accomplished a lot over the years, but this one seems to be, it just seems to be a little bit different. You know what I mean? So tell us about your original vision for the restaurant and how it all came together.
Wow. I don't know. Like this all started like years and years and years ago, like almost like over 6 years ago. And I think I was just in a place, it's like, it's funny. So like, I was like a chef, and then, you know, I kind of left parts and labor and left all my restaurants. And, you know, like we had P&L Burger, we had P&L Catering, fucking parts and labor, all that shit. And then I left the group and then just did like all my Vice stuff and started like, you know, Dead Set on Life and It's Supper Time and traveling and becoming whatever the fuck this thing was, you know? And I got to the point where I was like traveling around, and it was like, you know, it was almost like 6 years of me just traveling the world, and making shows and making books and making content, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like a poser. And I just felt like I was taking. And I would travel the world and I was going to all these restaurants and I was just like, yo, I need to add. I need to kind of actually mix it up and get back in there. And I felt like a fucking poser. And I was just like, yo, I know that I can like make restaurants. I know that I can like, I can do this. And that's kind of what sparked it. Cause the thing that's crazy is like Prime Seafood Palace, 6 years, I only wanted that. This was supposed to be my only restaurant. I didn't want any other restaurants. I was like, yo, if I could just have one restaurant and keep doing everything that I'm doing, that's the fucking move.
Yeah.
And the pandemic kind of fucking shut that the fuck up. And I kind of got to a place where my entire career was kind of taken away, like most people, especially in the music industry and the restaurants and people in salons, people in barber, like people that had to like make, like touch people to make money,
Yeah.
And my whole career, all of a sudden, when the pandemic hit, it was like, the first week, this got canceled, that got canceled, this got canceled. And then all of a sudden your whole year got wiped.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay. And then I'm like, how much money do I got? Accounting guy, and you really start trying to, like, it was a pretty scary fucking time. I was never a partner really at Maker Pizza. I was always just helping out my buddy Shlomo, and I was a consultant. And so like, that was the thing where I'm like, I'm getting a check from that. And I got to a point during the pandemic where, PSP, was always just like, the pandemic rat fucked the entire build out of that. Financial people were like, I'm backing out, like, fuck this, I'm not putting money into restaurants. So we had people were backing out. People were like, not that we only had 3 backers, but it's still, we had one guy leave, and then that really fucking shook shit up. Then we had to find a new person to come in. Our building actually, like, we tried to build onto a building that was already there, and that building facade fell down. We had to go back to permit. We had to fucking do all of this shit. And so like, that's happening on top of like my other career completely falling apart. And then it just kind of like, and I was like living back home, like on the farm in Fort Erie. And I kind of hit up these 2 dudes, Brad and Bob. And I was like, hey, do you guys want to do like a barbecue pop-up? And they were like, yeah. And they had like the equipment and all this other stuff. I love those dudes. And we did this barbecue pop-up, and we called it like Matty Matheson's Meat and 3. And I don't know, it was just like lightning in a bottle. And we were doing like 1,000 people a day. And it was like fucked. And that kind of turned the lights back on for me instantly. And then we just started like rolling. And we opened up like Maddie's Patties and Birria Balam, and then Fonda Balam, and and now Cafe Rang. I'm about to open up another restaurant called Rizzo's House of Parm. And then naming that after my daughter.
Hell
and
yeah.
I'm gonna be cooking like all Italian, a bunch of Italian food from Trisha's family. And then PSP, like Prime Seafood Palace, kind of was just always floating around. And I was just like kind of doing these things to just kind of like keep everything moving, I kind of got in that mentality of like, sharks keep moving. And not in like a negative way, but I was just like, let's do this, and like, let's do that, and like, let's fucking build this out. And now I'm just like, holy fuck, in a year and a half, I've opened up like 5 restaurants, and I'm kind of torched. And at the end of all this, I got to open up like my actual dream restaurant. Like, now all of them are kind of like, they're part of my world.
Yeah.
And I love them all so much, actually. And now, but now I'm like, at the end, I'm like, now I get to open up like my restaurant, and it's just like, this is like my actual dream. And all of them were, but they were all on different kind of necessities and reasons and all that other stuff, where I'm like, this came from such a different place, where this restaurant came from like before the stresses of a pandemic, before the stresses of like, fucking whatever the fuck is going on in this insane world right now, where everyone thinks that they can like save world wars from like putting up memes or some shit. But it's like, like, it is like, this restaurant is like a true representation of what I believe is a great restaurant, what I believe is like the thing that I really wanted to put forth and add to the tapestry of our industry. And what I wanted to add to like, when people would come to town, this would be the spot to be like, oh, fuck, this is what Matty's really fucking up to. This is crazy. And not just like, eat a cheeseburger. Cool. It's a good cheeseburger. Sure. Not trying to downplay any of the other restaurants, but I just like, this thing was like a thing where, I don't know, it was just special, and it was like everything. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it feels like that, that's the vibe you get from everything from like you're talking about. I mean, having to build out and then having to deal with all that during the pandemic with, I'm sure there was probably like supply chain issues as well with just the build out itself, and then actually being able to get, to complete a high-end restaurant as a chef like yourself. I imagine that's just got to be the best feeling because, the pop-ups are the pop-ups and those are all labors of love and it's all awesome, but it feels like this is kind of a really big moment for you. And I dig that. And from the menu looks fucking incredible. What are some of the heavy hitter dishes that you got?
I don't know. It's tough when people come in, they're like, what should we eat? I was like, yo, because the menu's like large, right? Like it's like, because it is like based off of like a steakhouse, right? So it's like, we have like chilled seafood, caviar, warm seafood, appetizers, proteins, like, you got like all your steaks, pork chops, chicken, we got a halibut dish on. And then all the vegetables are coming from Blue Goose, our farm, and a bunch of other farms, and then the desserts. So it's like, I'm always just like, yo, like everything's like 10 out of 10. It's not like we're putting on fucking duds. So it's just like, if you want some shrimp cocktail, get the shrimp cocktail. If you want the boudin, we do this like really sick kind of like boudin where it's like scallop and shrimps and like we house made ham. And we pipe it and we steam this like sausage, and then we cut them and then roll them in cabbage and grill them, and then lay lardo on top and melt the lardo, and then put like ponzu on top, which is really nice. Our steak tartare is amazing. We make a chickpea miso and like soy mustard kind of marinade for the beef, which is really nice with toasted sesame seeds, and which is cool. Even our bread, I think our bread service is really cool just because it actually means something. Like I'm like growing up in like the East Coast of Canada, like we I don't know why, but I do know why, but like molasses bread is a really big thing. I know in like Boston they got brown bread and like all that kind of shit. So it's just like growing up, we always would make like molasses bread. Shout out to Crosby's, which is like the OG like molasses company. And so we do these like beautiful little Parker House rolls that are molasses breads. And then after church on Sundays, we'd always have like molasses bread, canned like shitty like smoked mussels or like kippered snacks, and then like mustard pickles. And so that's our bread services. Like we make our homemade butter, our cultured butter. We got mustard pickles. We do like kippered mussels, and then our molasses bread. So like that's like a real kind of thing, like a cliched kind of like, my mom used to make this and like that kind of bullshit. But
dude, I gotta ask you because what you just said right now blew my mind. Because I don't ever trust anything I see on Wikipedia. But did you grow up in Nova Scotia?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say grow up. So like I was born in St. John, New Brunswick. Okay. I'll give you the rundown real quick. I was born in St. John, New Brunswick. Then we lived all over Nova Scotia. I lived in New Brunswick. I lived in PEI. I lived in Nova Scotia, all over in 3 provinces. And then we ended up in Dartmouth, and I lived in Dartmouth for a while, which is in Nova Scotia. And then in grade 5, I moved to Ontario. My dad's job brought us to Ontario. And then we ended up in Fort Erie. And then I went from grade like 6 to like, grade 12 in Fort Erie. So
that's dope, dude. My mom is from Nova Scotia, dude. She grew up there.
Really?
Yeah, she grew up there. And dude, the craziest thing is I went back when I was a kid, like, when I was really young, probably like 4 or 5, something like that. And I went back and I just have the coolest memories of being there. But dude, my great grandma made molasses cookies, dude.
Yeah.
So I know all about that, dude. And my mom still makes them to this day every Christmas, and it's the fucking
Dude,
best.
molasses cookies are the best. Nice, they're chewy, little soft, chewy ones with the sugar on top.
Yeah. That's fucking amazing, man.
Where in Nova Scotia?
I want to say Halifax. Is that right?
Okay.
Is that? Yeah.
My mom was born. My mom's a Blue Noser, and my brother. So that they're like, they're all from Halifax. My sister, my younger brother, and my mom all were born in Halifax.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I remember going back there as a kid, and I was tripping, dude. I was like, this is so. It was just a different like pace. It was a different everything. And it was my great grandma, rest her soul. She was like the sweetest old Canadian woman. She was such a badass, it was fucking great. But that's really cool. That's awesome. Real quick, you touched on Blue Goose, and I wanted to talk to you about that because I think that's so dope. First generation farmer. Are you adding that to your your resume?
I don't think. I'm more of like a facilitator. Keenan and Miles, they are the farmers. I'm just gotcha. Like, the thing is like, I ain't trying to say something I'm not. I ain't out there plowing the fields. I'm not out there. I'm not that guy. You can see like, I'm fine. I ain't that guy. I'm a facilitator. I'm most things. I like my job. I like to like get people together. Figure out who's got the money, who's got the ideas. How do we execute some shit, right? And I like the business side of stuff. And I think that once again, pandemic shit, me and Keenan at the beginning, he came and helped. He was helping me with my first cookbook when we were shooting the photos, when we were cooking everything. Or on my second cookbook, sorry. And him and some of our friends were there, and we're all hanging out for like a week on the farm. And he was like an amazing chef. Keenan is like probably my favorite chef. Him and like Colson, who's like my partner, are like my two favorite chefs. And Keenan was kind of making a joke. It's like, man, with this much grass, like it should be like illegal, like you should have to grow vegetables. And I kind of was like, yo, go grow some fucking vegetables, And he was like, okay. And then we started making jokes about it. And then he was just like, yo, for real, like, what do you think? And I was like, I don't know, put something together and let's see what time it is, And we put it together, and we took a leap, like we did it in the pandemic. And once again, it was like, my financial advisor strongly did not want me to put money into building out a farm. But I was like, if we don't do this now, we ain't ever going to do it. And I'm sure my team would love, to agree with this, but I'm a huge like risk taker. I'm a big fan of kind of jumping off the cliff at any moment, because that's what it takes to do shit. And, we got one shot at this. You better fucking, being afraid ain't it, So I'd rather be afraid and after I jump than fucking have a bunch of like what ifs in my life. So I think, we went for it, and 3 years ago to now, it's a wild thing. Like it's the first thing I've never felt, the happiness that something like this could bring to somebody physically it is a wild, like, if I didn't have Blue Goose during this pandemic, I don't know, man. It was like I could go out there 4:30, 5 a.m. in the morning, get a little pot of coffee going, the kids wake up, and you're just like, the dew is out there, and you're sitting out there, and there's birds, there's fucking animals running around, and it's just like, that kind of shit that's it. And it's just like, you're out there in that peacefulness and that serenity and that beauty. And I don't know, I think as somebody who's done a lot in their lives, more than like I've done a lot of stuff, and I think it's just like this thing, I don't know, it gives, like, the thing that makes me the least amount of money gives me weirdly, the thing that makes me the least amount of money makes me the happiest. And it's really eye-opening and really beautiful. And it gives you a lot of different it gives you like a different type of empathy for things. And it's I don't know, it's powerful, man. And I think it's the fact that like we see the potential, like even this year 3, like just our output is 400% greater than like last year, just last year, with like the same amount of land, the same, like we were like, let's like, we're really trying to like crawl, walk, and run with this project, and like not like overgrow it and not like be aggressive in any manner, and try to give it the right kind of like mindfulness that we need. And like just by like doing what we did last year, but because I don't know, like Keenan and Miles, what they're doing, it's like the output, just like it's literally, they were doing some math, and I think it was like 400% more vegetables by weight already. And we're like, we're like a month and a half in to our season. Once again, like Canada, we only have like a 6-month growing season. Which is like, depressing in its own self, but whatever. But I think it is, it really just shows. And like, I was talking to Keenan like yesterday about it, and I was like, you should be like, you're building your world, you're building a life, you're building a career. And I believed, obviously I believed in him. But I was like, it ain't easy. Like to literally get a shovel, like we don't use gasoline. Like he hand digs all those beds. He hand dig, like we leveled the ground, but it's like every single thing is like hand done. It's like we're doing things. It's like, it's organic. It's like every single vegetable is hand washed. There's no machines for harvesting. There's no nothing. It's 2 people. And it's an amazing thing to see that kind of work and see the reciprocal of it, and see the how it can naturally expand into just the greater good,
Yeah, dude, it's really, really incredible. And it was one thing that I saw that you kind of put together through the pandemic that I was just like, wow, man, that just, it was really inspiring. And one of the things that I think is really cool about you is that you always kind of seem to reinvest your wins back into the next project or, the community or whatever. And it kind of creates this like snowball effect of like forward momentum that I just think is really, really cool. And I was just kind of wondering, what kind of advice would you have for people that like the next Matty, like when they're getting started and they're doing these types of things, and they're, when you get a little bit of a victory and you put it back in and you keep it going to the next big thing. Cause dude, I mean, you're on like kind of a legendary run right now. Like your last like 2 years have been epic, dude. Like coming out of the pandemic and everything that you've built and everything that you've done, and your trajectory is just, it's inspiring. It's awesome. So what are some kind of takeaways that you've got over the last couple of years?
Surround yourself with really good people.
Yeah.
Don't be the smartest person in the room. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Like, I'm always like, it's a crazy thing. Like my whole game is I'm trying to take as much money from people as possible, putting it into my own businesses.
Yeah.
And then eventually my businesses will outgrow the money that I'm taking from these other people. And then all of a sudden I did a couple of years of like, doing all these like ads and doing all these things, and I'm doing all these corporate things. And I'm just taking, like, no one gives me money. No one wants to, like, I can't just go and ask rich people to fund me. I'm like a huge risk for people, the way that I am, the way that I say things, the way that, old rich people don't want to give Matty Matheson money to invest in restaurants, to invest in ideas. And so then when I figured that nobody was like, even banks don't really want to give me money. But I think, surrounding yourself with really great people, trusting yourself. I think the biggest thing too is partnerships. Much like marriage, much like anything, I really, if you don't love your partners, it will fuck up. Life and partnership It is. And if you don't understand your side of things and understand your part in business or in any type of relationship, and see that like no matter what is happening, you do have a side, good and bad, that like the resentments will build and your partnerships will fall apart. And you need to have good people around you. Like I've set myself up where I have like somebody who is pretty much like the greatest accountant ever. I have somebody who knows how to build out restaurants and build out businesses and work with like, you know, contractors and all that kind of stuff. And where I'm like, I'm the piece of the puzzle where I do all the branding, I do all the recipe building, I do all the spaces. And I'm like, I'm the cool guy. I'm like the person that knows how to fucking make a vibe. I know how to like check people and be like, yo, that person's a fucking kook. Like, don't work that they suck. Like, we don't have fucking losers in our company because it's just like, I don't fuck with that. Like if you're not cool, you don't get to be sitting at our table. If you're an asshole, you certainly don't get to sit around and help us be a creatives. Cause it's just like, that's the whole thing. But I think like advice, I'm like, I don't know. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, I always jumped, you know? And I think it's like, I always tell people, I'm like, hey, you're the most original person in the world. If you're actually can be you, you're 100% you. No one else is you. And if you know how to take you and do something, no one can say fucking shit. Like, that's you. And I think like everyone's so caught up and trying to be these things and have this vibe and try to be these other people. And I'm like, be you. You got to find, like, the thing is like, I don't know. Like, I'm obviously like, I'm funny. I'm pretty good at cooking. I'm good at my biggest gift is like reading people and working with people, actually.
Yeah.
And I think like that's the thing is that excels people is that I'm not really, I don't know. Like it's like one of those things where I'm like, I really enjoy working with people. I'm like, what do you think? If you put 3 options forward, one of them is going to be good. If I put 3 options forward, one of them is going to be good. I don't think every idea I have is good. I don't think every idea that my partners have is good. But I think, once again, having an open conversation constantly is what it takes to be successful and to be like, this sucks and this doesn't make sense. And like, that's fucking whack. And like, if that's fucking whack, then like, yo, shut it the fuck down. And if you're halfway down the road and you know that it's fucked, shut it the fuck down. And it's just like people aren't afraid to like kind of shut things down or like move forward. Like if something gets fucking squirrely, fuck all that shit. Like I love deading stuff. And it's just like if somebody all of a sudden, because you don't really know until you kind of jump too. Yeah. And it's one of those things that like, I don't know, like we did this, like we signed like one of the biggest deals of my life. And I like pulled out because I was like, nah, it ain't it. And it was like one of the biggest things I've ever done in my life. And I was just like, we had to pull out. And I was just like, I got the bad vibes. I got the tummy's telling me no. And we can't go down that road. And it felt like it was like one of those things where I was so stoked because I was just like, yo, we just gave up the biggest contract of my life. and we did it because of the right thing. And I think it's trust your gut. Your gut, and know your, like, it's like trust your gut, know your value. I think people understanding knowing their true value and just being like, yo, this is it. And understanding like if people want something from you, it's just like that project just isn't for me. Just because you think that you want me to be a part of it doesn't mean that I have to be. Yeah. And I don't know. There's a lot of little things, but it's just like, I think loving your partners, loving people around you, having like the no asshole rule is really cool. Yeah. Like no fucking like, but you can also have different like, and that doesn't mean like everyone has to be the exact same as you. Like my partners are like my partners I love truly, and I wouldn't hang out with them in a million years if I didn't know them. Like if I saw them walking down the street, I'd be like, I wouldn't even. They're norms. They're like no, but seeing them in the pocket and seeing them fucking under stress and seeing them like always thriving and like always problem solving. And that's the thing. The biggest thing is like in our company, it's like we are a unified problem solving company. Like If there is a problem, it means that there's a solution, and we just have to take our moment and we have to problem solve. And every single day we are problem solving. Every single moment we are problem solving. And you can't problem solve with a bunch of like people that think their way is the right way.
Yeah.
Every single thing is a group effort. And I think that, like, once again, like, the greatest leadership is to listen and then delivering on that solution. And like, my job is to like be like, that's the solution. How can I put the infrastructure together on executing that and making that happen? Like, I know that I like rambling about all this stuff, but I think it is like those things where I'm like, I'm going 100 miles an hour at all times. Yeah. And, you know, like, I work at, like, I'm on literally vacation right now. And every single day, it's just like, I still have like 3 hours of meetings every day because like I just do them in the mornings, but it's like, it's still there's so many things that are constant that we just need to always talk about. And I think communication is the key to anything. And it's about talking freely, openly, understanding both sides. Like, you need to have compassion. You need to have empathy in everything. And I think being able to take yourself away from something and being like, that's making me really fucking mad right now. But is it because I didn't eat this morning? Is it because I fucking was mad last night? Is it because I snored too much and I fucking woke up and I didn't bring my sleep apnea machine and I'm fucking grumpy? And I'm like, what the fuck is all this bullshit? And then you're like, wait, that's okay. I can settle down and I'm going to figure that out. And then, wait, they were right. And I'm just being hot and I got to cool my jets and I got to fucking now, you know, like I'm always in that position where I'm just always trying to like figure out what's right truly and what's best for the overall company. Not being able to make and try not to be like hot. Like, if you're hot, that's not when you make the decision. I'll tell you that much. Yeah. Like, you need to have that 24-hour cool down, you know?
Absolutely, dude.
I don't know. Is that a lot? That's a lot.
No, dude, that was a master class, my man. That was that was some amazing insight, dude. It really, really was. It's really cool because I think you're absolutely right just about you know, it's obviously surrounding yourself with the right people, but communication and just open communication about you being wrong or someone else being wrong and people not taking things personally in a business environment and everyone working towards the greater good, problem solving, all that stuff. It's so important, dude. And it makes so much sense that you have had the success that you've had just hearing you talk like that, because that's just, it's just rad to hear, man. It's really, really cool. And I think people will get a lot out of that. So thank you for that. But let's switch gears to music for a little bit, because
let's go.
Let's go a little bit. Cause I want to know, you know, obviously you've got, you've got a little bit of a history in punk and hardcore, and just honestly, the whole no asshole thing in business, you know, that's kind of something that applies in the punk and hardcore community too. You know, it's a very, you know, everyone's welcome, but you know, no room for intolerance and no room for assholes. So growing up, how did you kind of get into music? What were some of your like gateway bands into punk and hardcore?
Well, growing up to Fort Erie, the best thing ever was, you know, that's the border town to Buffalo, New York. So like, I grew up going to, you know, 99 like basement shows in Buffalo, going to Showplace, like my first hardcore show, I think I went and saw like it was like Cave In, Buried Alive, and Elliot, and I think that was like one of my first hardcore shows. But I think it was just like I got in through like metal. Like I think, like I remember I had this mixtape and it had like Deicide and Pantera, Slayer, and you know, that kind of stuff. And I think like once again, I think the first time I ever saw something that I was just like wasn't like, you know, my dad was like, my dad was like, yo, fuck the Beatles, Black Sabbath, and my dad was like, he's like, my dad was more of a rock dog. So it was just like, he didn't fuck with like, now that I'm older, I like listen to Grateful Dead. He's like, why the fuck you listen to this pussy shit? Like, he's like one of those guys who just doesn't get it. He's just like, it's like blues. It's like blues and like Black Sabbath and shit. But, like, I think like my sister had like a fucking, I think it was like Danzig 3, like a cassette. And I think Danzig 3 was like one of the first cassettes that I ever And I was just like, what was like H.R. Geiger? I was just like, what is this art? And like, I think it was so sexual and weird. And I was like, it was like anime before anime or some shit. And I was like, you know, I think like that was kind of like, it was like, I remember my older brother had like that metal kind of mixtape thing. And then like Danzig. And then, you know, I went a little deeper and like Misfits and, you know, I think Misfits was like a really big thing for me. Growing up in a small town, it was tough, you know, like it was like a small border town, farm town. And like, you know, like there was all that stuff in like grade 7 and 8, you're listening, like, you know, you're listening to fucking like Korn and fucking Deftones. Like Deftones was like a huge thing. Like I remember we went to Warped Tour in like 97 and we got to see like Deftones like on the Adrenaline tour, which was tight. And that kind of stuff was cool. And then the hardcore was just like going to, like, it was like one of those things where it was just like, we got sucked in. There was like 5 kids in my town and we would just get our parents to drive us over to Buffalo, drop us off. And we would just go to hardcore shows. And then like, you know, going that whole thing, it was like 97, even, you know, 2000, like, and then we started traveling, you know, you'd go to Syracuse, you'd go to Albany, you'd go like Erie, we'd go to Erie, like Forward Hall all the time, go see like fucking X Disciple X and like all that fucking shit. And like, you know, Brothers Keeper and like all that. Like I grew up in like that, you know, like I think California Takeover was one of the first cassettes I ever had. Seeing Snapcase a million times. And like that was like the victory, like the golden, like that was kind of another kind of, you know, like you got like that early AF shit in New York and Cro-Mags and all that shit. And then you got that 88 Youth Crew shit. And then like that like 90s kind of like culture shit and, you know, fucking Chokehold and all that stuff. And then like a little bit later, it's like Snapcase and all that stuff. And like seeing Earth Crisis all the time and Hatebreed, like when you'd see them in like 200 cap rooms, and it was just like, you know, and I think just seeing that shit, like I was just in that like little world. You go see Converge every weekend, you know, and you go see like all these bands, and I think, I don't know. I was like a huge HopeCon fan. Like I loved Hope Conspiracy. I got like Defiant Hearts tattooed like on my fucking double chin here, and I don't know, like that was like, I was just like a, you know, a very kind of basic hardcore kid in that time frame, you know, like just wearing like Sauconys and like army fucking shorts and like, you know, you got an army hat, wearing like fucking whatever. But I still like, it was so funny. Like I think Hellfest like 1 or 2, the one that was at Lost Horizon in Syracuse. And like, I remember I was there and I remember seeing, I went into like the merch room and I had like $100 for the whole weekend. And I remember I had $100 and I was just like, I spent it all on To Die For merch. And I was just like, it was like the best, you know, like I got like a fucking To Die For, like I was like, take my money. And I was just like, you know, like 18 Visions was like the coolest. Like I remember I was like, this guy's wearing a boa. This guy's insane. And I just like all this shit. I remember I was like so drunk at a Warped Tour. Like this is like 12 years ago now, because whatever. I remember I was so drunk. And I think that it was like the drum Ken from 18 Visions, I think.
Yeah.
And he was coming out of a shower, like behind like Warped Tour. And I see like Ken, I was like, ah! I was like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says with the nail polish and all this bullshit and your fucking the stupid lyrics. I was like, until the ink runs out is hard. I was like, take all this fucking like glam shit away. I was like, that album is fucking hard as fuck. I was like, that's some real fucking shit. I was like, those riffs are fucking, and he's like, thanks, man. He's got the towel wrapped around him. He's got flip-flops on. And I just like, I remember I punished him, and I got dragged away from the first time I ever met Jamie Josta. I think it was Montebello Fest. I was with Cancer Bats, and like Jamie, and I'm like, I got him in the headlock. I'm fucking telling him what time it is. And Liam's like, bro, we got to go, dude. And like, we got to get out of here. And he was so nice. Like, I remember I did Jamie's podcast, like, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And I was like, dude, I was like, it's so crazy. You know who I am. I was like, I crushed you one day. I was like, and I was like, you were so nice. He's like, I was like, you were so nice. And I was just like, I had you in like a headlock, fucking sweating on you, smelling like a fucking wildebeest. It was so good. But
That's
whatever.
good to know that even the mighty Matty Matheson was a Punisher. That's good.
Bro, I think I was just stoked. I was just like always just like pumped. And then like, all of a sudden I like got into like the crew and I'm like backstage everywhere and being like, riding around with people, and I was just being a fucking dumb. But I was always like, I loved it. I was just like, because I was never straight edge. I was never
Yeah.
I was never that dude. I'd be like, got a throwdown hoodie on with the fucking grenades on the fucking shit. I just wanted to be fucking mangled and have like a good time, and I just wanted to hear like breakdowns and shit,
Yeah. Did you pit?
Oh, bro, I was all day. I was just like,
Oh,
I loved it. I loved it all. Like
I could see you being like I could see you just being out of your mind, pit boss in the middle, just like
yeah, like back home, like in Niagara, they used I think it was like Wrecking Ball or some shit. I don't know, but it was just like one of those things. It's like, I wasn't one of those dudes who puts the mouth guard in and like goes to town, but I was just like, I was just having fun.
Did you ever think about joining a band or singing in a band? Because I think you would be a legendary frontman.
Well, I started a band for my 30th birthday, which is 10 years. I'm 40 now. So for my 30th birthday, I used to have at Parts and Labor a thing called Matty Fest. And so like the original Matty Fest was just a basement show. And I was like, yo, Liam, I was like, for real. I was like, me, you, I was like, we are going to start a band. And I'm like, I got the name, I got the songs. I was like, we need to go in. And literally, he was like, fine, we'll do it. I was like, I was like, for my 30th birthday, I want to like be in a band. And Scrappy was like, sure, dude. And we went, and like literally the show was like on Friday. And so like on Monday, we went and we wrote like a set. We just wrote like, like 16-second songs, 15, 30-second songs, and I was like, yo, we just gotta be like fucking, it's like power violence and like a break, like 20 seconds of power and just like a breakdown. 20 seconds, breakdown. and we did it. And it's on Bandcamp, actually. It's called Sex Tears.
Oh, I like how you got all serious when you said the band name. It's called Sex Tears.
It's called Sex Tears. And they're positive sex tears, everybody. Okay. So everyone can calm the fuck down. And then so that's on Bandcamp somewhere. And then low key, me, Wade, during the pandemic, I got like actually we wrote, me, Wade, Nardi, Daniel, and Ian Romano wrote and recorded a whole hardcore album.
What?
That we made. Yeah, so we have, I'll send you, after this, I'll send you one of the songs. It's fucking, it sounds like Integrity, kind of. But it's really good, I think. And we haven't released, no one's talked about it or anything, but because everything, like, we did it, and then all of a sudden, like, everyone started touring again.
Yeah.
And I think they want me to redo my vocals, it's fine. They comped them enough. They comp and everything, but like, they're like, maybe Wade's like, it was the first time, like maybe we could do it again. And I'm like, I gotta record, because it's like, we wrote, once again, it was the same kind of thing. We wrote all of the songs and recorded all the songs in 2 days. And then I did all the vocals for 10 songs in 1 day. So it was like 3 days we wrote and recorded a 10-song fucking LP.
Yeah, you don't want to lose that original heat, dude. You don't want to lose that original heat.
Dude, it was like, it was like full Henry Rollins. I got like just like little rugby shorts on, just like naked, just like me in the booth, and I'm just like, it was just going off. And it was just like half the lyrics were written, half of them were just free balling. It was just like, it was good though, but it's hard. Like there's songs like, I don't know. It's good. I'll send you a track, but it's a funny, it's a funny thing, because I'm like, I'm fucking 40, but it's still like, no matter, the thing is like, no matter what, like there's some people that are like hanger-ons and like went to hardcore shows, but it's just like, there's some people that just like don't really get it, where I'm just like, no matter what, it's like either you're a hardcore kid or you're not. And I think it's just like one of those things where it's just like, there's a lot of people, like anything that like, like hockey bros or fucking people that were in ballerinas, or like people that just like have those early childhood kind of like belongings and like never left, but like also like lived and didn't make it 100% about like their identities and like lived their lives, but like contributed and went there. Like we used to put on shows all the time in Fort Erie, not all the time, but like, you know, like it was like about doing all that stuff and like making zines and like going to shows and like putting on your own shows and like actually contribute. Like that's the thing that I think really is the coolest thing about the hardcore scene is like, you can't just be a wallflower. And I think like you gotta like, you're not getting what this is if you're just going, which is tight. Like go be in the crowd if you want, but like there's so much more that you can do once you start adding. The same as fucking all this bullshit, you know, like it is like either you can be watching or you can be doing. And I think it's like I think it's like one of those things where it is because even in high school, like I had a hardcore band called Hanging Hearts in high school that was like same type of shit. It was kind of like, you know, hate breedy type shit, but it you know, it was like that juxtaposition. You call yourself like Hanging Hearts and you're writing like poetic fucking bullshit. You think you're like Wes from AN, and you know, you're trying to like, you know, you're trying to write some poem shit and it's just like some beatdown shit. It's just like, it's you know, you're always trying to do shit. And I think like, that's the thing is like, I've never lost that. And I think that there's people that just like, that scene is like, yo, like jump. What you want? You want to do a zine? Go. You want to do a band? Go. You want to put on a show? All you. You want to fucking be somebody? Be somebody. I think that is the thing, is to like jump. Be about it. Your first band probably ain't going to be the best one. Maybe it is. Maybe your second or third one will be. But it's just like, don't fucking just do something and give up. Or you can change lane. I changed lanes. I got lots of lanes. But it's like, you know, just keep going.
Yeah, man, that's fucking dope. We got to I only got a couple more questions for you here, and I appreciate your time, my man. This is the Sailor Jerry podcast. You are a certified tat daddy as you sit here in all your glory in front of me. So let's talk a little bit about tattoos. How did you first kind of get into the tattoo world?
Through just going to hardcore shows in Buffalo and just seeing everybody being like, oh, this is what it's about, you know? And I was just like, it was such a part of that where in Buffalo, like at such a young age, I was just like, you know, I got my first tattoo when I was like, I don't know, 17, I think. And it was just like, I don't know. It was just like one of those things where it was like the coolest thing to me. It was part of that look. It was part of that scene. It was part of, I don't know. It was just that vibe was high. And, you know, I'm glad I didn't get some like biomech shin guard or like some bullshit, but I think, you know, it's a slippery slope, you know, the mid-90s,
it is.
It was ruthless. There's some fools out there with some fucking body armor, you know? And, you know, I think it's just like, you know, just seeing people heavily tattooed at a young age was just very impressionable on me. And I still think that it's the coolest. It's one of those things that you can set yourself apart. Also, it's like one of those things where people will talk to me and they're like, hey, like I'm going to get my first tattoo. And I'm always like, don't. If you ain't got a tattoo, you don't need one. Like, I'm just like me, I'm just like, you know, whatever. I'm like covered head to toe. And it's just like, now I'm just trying to like fill in every stupid little space. I'm 40. It hurts. I'm over it. It's like, man. But like, I don't know. Like by the time I was 24, I was like, I had my head done, my hands done, my neck was all like, I had everything done. By the time I was like 24, 25, I was kind of laced up and I was just like, I'm cool. And now it's just like, I only have spots that really hurt to do it. So it's just like, but I don't know, tattooing still is like, I have so many amazing same as music. Like you travel and you meet tattooers and people in that community and it's so amazing. And, you know, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, you meet these people that are like doing their own thing and there's that mutual respect. And like, you don't have to like it is like, it just kind of makes it easier to spot check. And you're like, oh, okay, this guy's a homie. He's got this. And like, they look chill and like, and then they actually are chill and it's a double win, you know?
Yeah. What was your first tattoo?
I got this armband. It's like this like stupid ass kind of armband that
wraps. Yeah.
Like it looks
what
like
the hell is that?
Well, let me tell you a story. So I went into it was called Rainbow Connections in Niagara Falls, and I got tattooed by this guy Frankenstein, and I went to a couple of high schools, and I ended up at like a Catholic high school. It was like the last one in town that kind of I could go to, and the uniform was like a polo short sleeve, and I was like, I'm gonna get a forearm tattoo, and hopefully get kicked out of this one too, and like whatever the fuck, thinking I'm some bad boy. And I go, and I'm like, once again, I'm like, I got like $150. And this is the funniest shit, because like I know, like now obviously know how fucking tattoo shops work and all this stuff. I go in, and the guy, I picked literally like this is a tribal armband. I just couldn't afford color, so it's like one-dimensional tribal, and it was like this woven tribal band, and the guy was just like, $150, can't do color. I could do it solid black, and it was like this woven thing, but he did it literally like. And then I went home. My brother's like, it looks like safety pins, or he's like, it looks like turtles fucking each other, or like it's like he's just like, what the fuck is that? And I was just like, perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Frankenstein.
Asshole. Yeah, Frankenstein, go fuck yourself. Couldn't afford the color. Eh? The color was too expensive. I was like, you robbed me, you fuck. But that was my first one. That was my first tattoo. Yeah.
When was the last one you got? Have you had time to get anything done lately?
I think the last one is over here, Ozzy. I got all my kids' names on me. So like Ozzy's up on my shoulder. So I got Ozzy there. I got Rizzo over here, and then MacArthur's over. Yeah, there's Mac there.
Yeah.
I just got fucking. I think Ozzy was my last tattoo. I just got her name over here, but yeah, I think those are like my last like 3. I haven't been. I kind of get fillers. I got like tattoo. Look at this. This is good. A good angle.
Oh, yeah.
Skinny there. These butterflies. I'm just trying to like fill my whole body up with like butterflies.
You got any Sailor Jerry tattoos?
Do I have any Sailor Jerry tattoos? I have a bunch of old Flash tattoos. I couldn't tell you which one. Like I don't know.
I fucking bet you have one. I bet you do.
I don't know. I got that classic, like, dude, this is the most like hardcore tattoo ever. I got like a rose with the eye with a razor blade. You know?
Yeah. You got any diamonds? You got any diamonds on you?
Dude, there was a diamond right there, and I got it covered up. I got a diamond coming out of my dude. I remember.
There's a lot of fools. There's a lot of fools with diamonds. There's a lot of fools with diamonds.
Dude, like these were like swallows that I covered up, and like, yeah, you could really spot it like an early 2000s hardcore.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any Sailor. I'm sure I do have some Flash. That's something, but it's like it's also like I don't know. I'd have to. I don't know. But even like I got like a rockabilly girl on a rocket. Like I'm just like, what the fuck is, like I'm like that's like some shit right there. That's thinking I'm like Keith Buckley or something.
Awesome, man. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, buddy. So just the last question, kind of a wrap-up question. As we sit in this moment here, you are an internationally recognized chef, restaurateur, clothing and cookware juggernaut, New York Times best-selling cookbook author.
Two times.
You got the Blue Goose 2 times, baby, 2 times. You got, dude, that's so fucking awesome. Congrats, dude. That's so insane. You got the Blue Goose Farm. Now you're an actor, family man, wild man. What is next on the horizon for you? Like what are some things that you got coming down the pipeline?
I just sold my 3rd book.
Fuck yeah.
So sold my book. Working on, season 3 of Just a Dash, trying to figure that out.
Nice.
Hopefully open up some Matty's Patties, maybe in Costa Mesa shortly.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Maybe HB gets one. And then I'm trying to mellow. I think I've been running for a minute here.
Yeah.
And I just listed like 5 massive projects. I'm going to try to write a screenplay. That's something I haven't done yet. So I'm going to try to write a screenplay. And I don't know, try to see my family more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Try to like I'm trying to do like bigger projects and like less little things, so then I can have like some real time in between some stuff, and like try to start figuring that out. Having 3 beautiful, healthy kids at home, and having the best wife ever, Trishy, holding it down is like, I'd like to get to a place shortly where I can actually kind of be home for more than 5 days at a time, or 2 days. Last couple, like in the last year, it's tough. It's making all this stuff happen, and trying to take care of my family. You don't see your family trying to take care of them sometimes. So I'm just trying to figure that balance out. I'm very happy and proud to have an amazing family that I do have. And, I love all those fools,
Yeah, man, that's great. I think you're well on your way to being able to, kick back a little bit. I mean, it's like you're a very hardworking dude. Like you said, you've accomplished a lot so far in your life, and it seems like you're really good at kind of building that like delegating empire where you can, you have a nice team around you. You got people that you trust, that you work with, you can count on, and hopefully you're just a little bit ways away from being able to kick back a little bit, man, and enjoy the fruits of your labor.
I'm trying to get there,
But it seems like you also kind of love working your ass off a little bit too, it's like part of the grind.
I'll be a drug addict till the day I die, baby. So, I think it's just like, I think I got a little broken void that I'm forever trying to fill, I'm just a little broken piece of fucking, I still remember, did you guys do a little White Drugs mirror? Am I crazy?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. I have one of those. I got one. I was just like, it's just like we're all a little broken mirror, and we're just trying to fucking fix it at all times. And, I think maybe work is my tape that I'm trying to wrap around and try to get this shit back together, I don't know.
That makes sense, man. Last question, brother. In your point of view, everything you've kind of been through so far in your life, what do you think the meaning of life is?
I don't know. I think a 24-hour window, trying to just do what you need to do today. And I think that's the most important. And I think the meaning to life is trying to do your best within that 24 hours. And the meaning of life is to get up every time you make a mistake. Get up, don't make it twice. And it can be as simple as that. Like, I think too many people get caught up in everything, and like, I don't know. I think all we got is right now, man. And I think it's we got this, and it's just like, we got each other. I think it is like, you get what you give. And I think like all those like little things are true. And I think it's like that energy that you're putting out there, you're getting back tenfold, actually. It's just like I think a lot of people are delusional on what they're putting out there. And I think, but I think really it ain't about tomorrow, and it ain't about yesterday. It's like, it is right now. And like, today is the most beautiful day. Even that darkest moment, we're going to get through it, and we're going to get through it together. And like that greater good, man, like that life force is strong. You got to just keep holding on. And I think the meaning of life is to live. If you think about and just worry about today, like, your life will be plenty. Your life will be full. Your life will be like, the meaning of life ain't trying to fucking think about your whole shit. Just like, keep going today. I don't know.
Yeah, man. That's amazing, brother. Matty, thank you for your time, my man. Thank you. I'm so stoked to finally be able to catch up with you. Thank you for being on the Sailor Jerry podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day, my man. Enjoy Huntington. I wish I was fucking there.
Dude, that's it. Hang. I'm,
Yeah. Next time when I get home, I'll hit you up. And then next time you come through, let's try to make it happen. But appreciate you, my man. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a beautiful day.
All right, brother. Peace. Oh, yeah. That's a wrap on an amazing episode 39 of the Sailor Jerry podcast. As always, huge amounts of respect and gratitude to our guest, the one and only Matty Matheson. Matty, thank you so much for your time, my man. What a great conversation. It was really cool getting to talk with you about everything that you've built and are continuing to build. Very inspiring. So we appreciate your time, my man. You can follow Matty at Matty Matheson. He's one of those guys that's got a zillion avenues. So just Google is the best way to get everything you need to get when it comes to Matty and what he's up to. Of course, you can follow me at 213 Mattman. You can follow Sailor Jerry at Sailor Jerry. And, do me a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment on the episode. That means a lot to us. It goes a long way. If you're following the podcast, thank you. If you're not following the podcast, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, let people know what you're listening to. Tell them what we're doing over here on the Sailor Jerry podcast. We appreciate it. And of course, lastly, do not forget that Sailor Jerry Spiced Rum is still made the old school way. 92 proof, bold and smooth as hell. That's all I got for episode 39, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on the flip side 2 weeks from now. Peace.